Happy Leap Day. It's my favorite day. February 29th, the reminder that time doesn't really exist, that we have the ability to decide what we want to do with our time. Sorry, I'm running a little late this morning. I was talking to my husband and I got on a tangent and totally lost track of time. But I'm here now, and we are in the home stretch of looking at the various different forms of Guanyin. So, yesterday we ended up with Guanyin in the clamshell who protects fishermen. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Joanne. I wanted to let you know, Joanne, and also just in general, I am starting 21 Tara Sadhana tomorrow. So tomorrow, March 1st at 8:30 Pacific time, 11:30 Eastern. I'm going to be only doing it on YouTube because of that weird thing that happened while I was on Facebook yesterday. So I'm going to just do it here on YouTube. So if you watch on YouTube tomorrow, tune in at 8:30 and I will be doing 21 taras. We're going to just go through them one at a time and we're going to learn a little bit about each one and chant. Super easy, but very potent to reach out to Tara. In our temple, Tara is we have the archetype of the sister with Tara. So we view Tara as the sister to humanity. She's there, she's ready to help, she cares, she is the savior of the world, she is the shining star. We can look up to her and admire her and emulate her example. She's like the great big sister that you wish you had, or maybe you have a great big sister. I'm the eldest, I don't have a big sister. So she's my big sister. Yeah, that's AM, Joanne. So it'll basically be starting tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. on YouTube, and then I'll stop that at 9. And at 9, I'll start a new one for Guanyin for Facebook and YouTube. So if you go and look me up on YouTube, it's at Yesha Matthews, 2 T's in Matthews, super simple. And for those of you who are already here, you already know how to find me on YouTube. Okay, so that's tomorrow. I will post about it so that you have a little reminder. And good morning, Leslie. Hi. Okay, so our forms of Guanyin today. So this next one is layman Guanyin. So this is where she blends in. She just looks like everybody else. And layman Guanyin appears as an average person, but with flawless compassion. Good. Her So she was walking amongst us. This form of Guanyin as a lay person, is just like one of us. It could be you, it could be me, it could be anybody in your life around you, but it's that moment of flawless, selfless compassion. When somebody reaches out beyond their comfort zone, when they are allowing themselves to have a kind of um, you know, upwelling of such tenderness that they just automatically help someone. So you might see it in like somebody who sees like a dog shivering on the side of the road and just automatically pulls over and helps them. Or somebody who sees that the mother in front of them is putting things back because she can't afford it at the grocery store and just puts the money down, doesn't say anything. That is layman Guanyin. And I feel like this is a really accessible form of Guanyin for everybody. We can be her. It's almost like she can take a possession of us in a moment where her compassion exudes through us. All it takes for us to be the embodiment of Guanyin as the layperson is for us to answer that inner call, to not ignore it, to not be so afraid of helping that or to not be afraid of it seeming weird if we're helping someone, where it's just automatic and easy and natural and we just allow ourselves to help. So that's layperson Guanyin. The next one is elevated Guanyin. And this one, we'll sometimes see Guanyin sort of standing at the top of a mountain. And in this, she's also mapped back to Shiva. So there are two forms of Guanyin, blue throated Guanyin and elevated mountaintop style Guanyin, who are meant to represent Shiva's power in the world. And I just want to take a minute here to say there are a lot of crossovers between Hindu and Buddhist deities. So, for example, the Tibetan Buddhist first female Buddha, Yeshet Tsogyal, a living woman from the 8th century, she is considered to be the embodiment of Sarasvati. So, it's like, well, you might think to yourself, well, how is there that crossover? But realistically, um, Buddhism arose in India and then spread out over the rest of Asia. And in times, there was a particular time where Buddhism then fell so far out of favor in India that very few people were practicing it. Texts were lost and burned. And then when Buddhism in India experienced a resurgence, people had to go to the Tibetans and the Chinese and say, hey, do you have a copy of that text? Because we don't have a copy of it anymore. And the Tibetans and people in China had those texts and were able to supply them back. So there's actually a lot of crossover. It's important to note sometimes Guanyin and Ganesha are thought to have a relationship. Um, the deity Sarasvati from originally from Hinduism is worshipped in the Dharma as a manifestation within Yeshet Tsogyal and other deities, and Guanyin herself appears as a form of Shiva. Just, to keep things interesting for us. But I think it's actually really important for us to keep this in mind because modern neo-paganism and modern hardcore polytheists will argue to the death that these are all separate things and they have to stay in their lane. But once you get there, like if you go to Tibet, if you go to India, if you go to China, you see that things are far more swirled together than they seem to a Westerner. And the Western mind, we like things in their little boxes, but it's not really how the world is. It's not really how it works in practice. Okay, so elevated Guanyin is a form of the mountain form of Shiva, the same Shiva who is danced into awakening by Uma Parvati is this Guanyin. Then we have Lady Ma Guanyin, and I love this form. This is arguably one of my favorites. Lady Ma Guanyin is depicted as very beautiful. In fact, the statue behind me has long fingernails. You can't see it, but it's actually one of the reasons I chose this statue for my home because she has long fingernails and makeup. She's wearing makeup. And this is actually a form of Guanyin who uses the arts of beauty to turn people's hearts to kindness and to the Dharma. So Lady Ma Guanyin will open your heart to the Dharma by attracting through beauty. Now, this is another kind of important thing to note. This is an important teaching. Why do we build an altar? And those who have practiced with me for a long time, you already know the answer to this question. We don't build an altar because the deity needs us to build an altar. We don't leave offerings because the deity needs our offerings. We build altars and we place offerings in a beautiful way because to do so brings out the best in us, to create beauty, to create devotional moments, to act upon that heart motivation of beauty and devotion. That is what the reason why we build an altar. We don't, the deity doesn't need us to build one. We need it. So when we build an altar, we are calling on that form of Lady Ma Guanyin. She's actually quite similar in ways to Aphrodite, where she uses, or even Oshun, where she uses beauty as a tool for teaching the way to enlightenment. And then our final form for today is Guanyin with prayer hands. And again, this is a form of Guanyin that, is very common. We see her with her hands together. Prayer hands are not flat palm together. We don't do flat palms together. Prayer hands actually always leaves a little room. I remember when I was growing up and going to Catholic school, they would say, when you put your hands together, leave a little space in your hands for Jesus. It's actually quite similar. When we do prayer hands, that prayer hands Guanyin, we're leaving a little room for the Dharma in between the palms. And it's almost like we're gathering an energy there. Don't think about prayer hands so much as a form of supplication. Oh, please, 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 I want, me, me, me. I need, mine, mine, mine. Instead, think of prayer hands and our supplication as an act of holding something carefully with reverence. We're holding it with tender, protective, loving reverence. So that is prayer hands Guanyin. So our forms today, just in wrap up. Layperson Guanyin, she looks like every one of us. She is every one of us. She's every woman. She's just every woman in the moment of selfless compassion, just pulls over on the side of the road to help the dog, just stops automatically for the person crossing the street, automatically pays for the coffee of the elderly person in front of her, etc. The elevated Guanyin, mountain top Guanyin form of Shiva, related to Shiva, abiding at the mountaintop, awaiting activation to come into the world. We call on her. Lady Ma Guanyin, who blesses the Dharma with her beauty, who brings the Dharma forward in beauty. My teacher is very like that. And Guanyin with prayer hands, always holding a space for the holy. All right, tomorrow, as you might recall, we're going to do one more day of Guanyin practice. Well, we do Guanyin practice every day, but one more day of Guanyin focus. And then I'm starting 21 Tara Sadhana tomorrow. And we're going to do that 21 days in a row. That's going to be every day, 8:30 a.m. till 9, half an hour, brief teaching, some chanting, and making the connection with the 21 different faces of Tara. And what I'll be doing for Guanyin practice is we'll then fly right in at 9 a.m. to Guanyin. So I'll post more about that today. Okay, so let's get into our divination for today. I'm getting so excited about 21 Taras. I started preparing my materials yesterday and was just looking over it. I haven't taught the Taras in a long time. It's been a couple of years, and I'm quite excited to return to that teaching. Oh, again, today, the Orchid Priestess of Destiny. That's twice this week. And shuffled, the deck just opened to her. So, Orchid Priestess of Destiny, I'll read a different portion of the card today than I did the other day. I'll read just the little first part to kind of remind everyone what she said, and then we'll look at one of the other parts that we didn't read the other day. The Orchid Priestess of your highest spiritual destiny calls to you now on Leap Day. She calls you to your purpose, your path, and your soul's passion. You are called to rise again and again, to live up into your potential with all its uniqueness and beauty. She will call you always with her sweet flute playing deep in your heart, blossoms of orchid and chrysanthemum falling from her feet, stirring your heart to quest for your truest soul passion. Okay, so the Orchid Priestess of Destiny, beloved Guanyin, in her devotion to your highest spiritual attainment, calls you forward now. Your divine destiny is calling you. This means it is time to unplug from mass consciousness at a deeper level than ever before, to really let go of the beliefs and thought forms that do not serve your highest destiny, no matter how unchallengeable they may seem to be at first. It's time to revise anything in you that would hold you back from owning your spiritual power and moving ahead in your divine destiny. It is your own destiny that calls you forward to do this. Do not fear. It is just you waiting to meet you in all your spiritual beauty and strength. Embrace the changes, and soon you will enjoy this spiritual reunion at a higher turn of the spiral in your own passionate life of spiritual purpose. The flute and blossoms of the orchid priestess will help you in this process. Yeah, recurring theme. Joanne says, recurring theme for me. Boom shakalaka. I love that. Morning, Christy. Hi, how are you? Hi, Lynette. See you here. Hi, Natalie. Good to be with you today. So, all right. Now we really have to think about this because we got this card twice this week. What were you thinking about the other day when we got this card last? So I think it was, so it's today, today's Thursday. So that was Monday. So on Monday, what was it that started to well up? Maybe it just bubbled up a little bit. Maybe there was a little sign, a little something. I had a couple little somethings like groundhogs poking their heads up in my life and then kind of going back. And I was like, okay, you're there. And also my Tibetan astrology said it was going to be like that. Said there would be like early signs of something good, but it wouldn't come to fulfillment quite yet. But now it's a different story. She's back. So what was it? Just think about it. Yes, that's right. Oh, that's right. Lynette says Bulgaria and working with you. That's what came up on us on Monday for us. Definitely feel that. I definitely feel like that destiny nature to it, especially how we met and everything. So, what else popped up? That's what it is for all of us to think about. What popped up on Monday? Maybe just flickered through your mind, or you thought, oh, that'd be a good idea, or you started something, but it didn't quite go. Today's the day. Move the needle. Next step. Just the next little tick. That's all you need. You don't have to be. Sometimes we get anxious because we think, oh, I can't do all that. There's so much to do. You don't have to do all of it. You just, not all at once. You just have to do the next step. So, what's the next step? That's today. And Natalie says, I'm listening. I've missed most of this week. Okay, good. Well, Natalie, you get a reprise of Monday's divination. All right, that's our short bit for today, if that's what you were here for. Listening to the call of our higher destiny. Something that maybe was planted as a seed on Monday is bubbling up again today. Yes, small attainable goals, a next step in something. That's what we're going to keep our eyes open for today. And now let's dive into Guanyin practice with 3 prostrations before the shrine. I have still all my Mary Magdalene supplies over here from last night to wrangle. Okay. Feels good to be here. Let's take refuge. Namo Guru Be. I take refuge in the inner teacher. Namo Buddhaye. I take refuge in the great mother of compassion. Namo Dharmaye. I take refuge in the wisdom of the ages. Namo Sanghaye. I take refuge in the community of practitioners. And let's set our intention, a person, place, situation, or circumstance that will benefit from today's practice. And I want to hold today Bibi and her son Joey and their whole family. Joey was in a really bad car accident and has a really long road to recovery. He's been in the ICU. He has a traumatic brain injury, numerous broken bones, multiple damage to organs, and yet he's pulling through. He's bringing so much life force forward. Let's surround Joey and his heartsick mother, Bibi, and their entire family with our practice today. And let's recite the four immeasurables. May I be a source of loving kindness in this world and all worlds, bringing a generous heart to all my thoughts and doings. May I be a vehicle of compassion in this world and all worlds, ever mindful and aware of the tremendous suffering of others. May I be a brimming vessel of joy in this world and all worlds, delighting in the happiness of others as their suffering is alleviated. May I be a balance point of equanimity in this world and all worlds, seeing all as equals and all as deserving of goodness. I light this candle as a symbol of the enlightening Dharma way. May it shine brightly for the benefit of all beings. I light this incense as an offering to Guan Xiyin, she who hears the cries of the world, mother of all. Om Ahum. 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 Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and virtual. I confess all my destructive actions accumulated since beginningless time and rejoice in the meditation of all holy and ordinary beings. Please, Guanyin, remain until the end of samsaric existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of others to the great enlightenment. 108 recitations of Namo Guanxian Pusa, calling upon one of the forms of Guanyin today and asking her to arise within us. Maybe it's layperson Guanyin, maybe it's Lady Ma Guanyin. That's funny, says Leslie. The next step for me will be Monty Fon's silly walk. You're so funny, Leslie. All right. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, 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 Namo Guanxin Pusa. 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 Namo Guanxin Pusa.